He's the late night loot goblin, the RuneScape raider, the Colts loyalist who believes in miracles and mulligans. From Sword to Magic Eden, he's been building gaming empires while raging during golf swings and simplifying chaos on command. Welcome back to the Gigabrain guild leader, the emperor of esports. It's Gnoc.
Buddy, the way I've been playing golf lately, I need more than just a few mulligans. Holy shit. Don't intro though, buddy.
God bless. Good luck out there, man. Up next, he built Tron 2.0, Dungeon Siege 2, and the most played game in human history, Microsoft Solitaire. Now he trades spades for smart contracts and fusing cards with crypto in a new kind of deck builder. It's the Hall of Fame game dev turns blockchain battle master from Koin Games and Project O. It's Kevin Lambert.
Thank you. Loving today's topics. Can't wait to chat.
Dude, today is juicy. And I see Sinjin's intro here, but I see no Sinjin, which can only mean that he's actually sleeping for once, which I'm both sad about, but also happy that he might live a little bit longer. Kiss and rest, big dog. Up next, he helped define what streaming looks like today, and then he left Twitch with a tattoo, a legacy, and a flamethrower full of ideas. Now he's bringing that same kinetic energy to Wildcard and Thousands, serving strategy hotter than a rage quit on Reddit. It's the Titan of Twitch, the Baron of Budgets, and the God of Glitter. It's Tony V.
Boom! Let's go, boys! Stoked to be here.
Great to have you, man. Also, we're dubless. We're dubless because he's in Turkey and he just got surgery on his gums because he wants to have teeth in another 10 years. So we miss you, Dub, as well. But up next, from the Claremont Quad to the cutting edge of crypto, he's the blockchain brainiac who took a student-led strategy straight to Avalanche. A gamer at heart and a builder by trade, he's turning Web3 into his playground. Welcome, the Web3 wunderkind, the protocol prodigy. It's Will Spangler.
Woo! That was fire as fuck, Sam. I've been going on walks and expanding my mind with nature. So excited to bring that back to the internet.
God bless, dude. I'm excited for you to bring it back to the internet as well. We were also trying to get Vidar this week. Vidar told me he would be here, but that dude is like, I'm not sure Vidar really exists. Does anybody actually think Vidar exists? I don't. Up next, if Wit was weightlifting, he'd be bench pressing takes every minute. A former firefighter with a body built like an endgame boss and a brain for business bigger than his biceps. From hosting shows with the arena with heat and hilarity to pounding the panel with puns and punchlines, give it up for Jerry the Golden God Singer.
I don't see Jerry.
Jesus Christ. He was here a second. He's in the audience. What are you doing, Jerry? What are you doing, Jerry? Hey, guys. Sam, it's Jerry. Sam, that intro was fucking sick. And I don't know. We're going to move on. He's the rock climber who founded a card game with a galaxy, a builder of businesses and bridges with a grip like a vice and a wit like a whip. He's also finding the next hold and the next bold idea. This dry humor demigod of deck builders is part rock climber, part movie critic, and full-time founder of Parallel. Prepare yourselves for the cinematic cynic, the climber of cruxes, the dry-witted director of decks. It's the prince of Parallel. It's Kohji.
What's up, Sam? Today's an exciting day. I'm happy and hopefully slightly more high energy than I normally am. So I'm ready. Let's get into it.
That's amazing. Despite all the self-loathing, still ready for yet another episode of Gamified.
Yeah, man. We added your sponsor, AVAX, to Wayfinder today. So, use it to do bullshit on AVAX, whatever you do there.
And I assume whenever you did that, you said, and it was purely because of the well-spent money that you spend on Gamified every week, right, Kohji? You hit him with that little ditty?
I said it was because I wanted Coop to be my friend, but he hasn't replied yet, so I don't think it's working.
Kohji, there's one rule. You tell him I'm responsible for everything.
Yeah, hey, speaking of Coop, money well spent on Sam. I mean, I don't think that connection would have happened. Congratulations to Coop.
Thanks, buddy. See, this is why we need Jerry on the panel on time and ready to go, but Twitter wasn't having it today. Last but not least, from the Red Keep to the Final Frontier, he's adapted worlds we binge into games we play. His resume reads like a Comic-Con's greatest hits, Archer, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, and The Walking Dead, but his latest trick is empowering game creators to stop struggling. It's the maestro of the middleware, the sovereign of scalability, and the sandbox sage. It's John Radoff.
Hey, great to be back here. This is awesome. I see a lot of my friends out there in the audience, include people building on Beamable, the game server platform we build, and did a nice live stream with Wild Paul from Wildcard Alliance. I know he's here from time to time. You should check that out if you're really curious about how they're building out their game for Web3. It's a pretty cool conversation.
Love to see it. I know you guys have an absolutely insane roster of games. And truly, last but not least here, he's the cold-blooded king of commentary, the gecko with the gift of gab, and the only panelist here that can win Oh Baby Cart and an argument at the same time. Tiny but terrifying, it's the 2.4-pound typhoon of hot takes. It's Lemz.
GM, hope you guys can hear me. My connection's being a little choppy, still waiting for some real internet out here. And yes, banger new intro, Sam.
Great to have you as always, little guy. And forget the lag, forget the fees, and forget the friction. Avalanche is the Alpine Express of Web3 gaming. With subnets smoother than a freshly packed powder, devs can carve out custom chains like Black Diamond runs. The official chain of Gamified is logging W's from Maple Story Universe to solo level Arise. And ditch those delays. Ride with Avalanche, the chillest chain in the game, the official chain of Gamified. Thanks, guys. And dump the castles in the clouds because Game 7 is building kingdoms on chain. They're backing builders and leveling up devs with their credits program, plus bestowing soulbound loot on the loyal with Summon. The Fellowship is forming, and the final boss is traditional gaming gatekeepers. Join the fray where your grind gains gravity with Game 7, the official infra of Gamified. And I got to give a big fat shout out to the official game of Gamified. Think you need a computer science degree to launch a game? Think again. At the Farcade, we've been making building games easy and as easy as posting a meme. Use an AI-powered studio, launch directly onto social feeds like Warpcast or Telegram, and watch friends and strangers play instantly. Plus, you can walk away with cash prizes worth thousands, according to the new Doodles Game Jam we just announced today. Very excited about that. Build for fun, win for real. It's game time. And hey, if you like this space, you might not know it yet. Give it a little bit longer. But go give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's basically our XP system, and we're trying to level up. Plus, the algorithm gods demand tribute. We're trying to scale this podcast like it's a co-op campaign. And give us a share. See if we can beat this boss together. No pressure, but if you don't do it, I won't put any food in Lemz's terrarium this week. So when he's hungry, that'll be on you. We're jumping in with an easy one. What's the word for the most viral indie sensation potentially of all time? 8.9 million concurrent players? Has it ever been done? A teenage dev built a chill Roblox farming game in 3 days. And that part isn't surprising, I guess. But what is surprising is that it pulled in 8.9 million concurrent players, nearly matching all of Steam combined that day, which is 11 million. And it had no guns, no grind, just gardening. The cozy game featured events like Blood Moon Harvest that encouraged people to get online at the same time, leading to an insane concurrent count, already being compared to Farmville, Stardew Valley, and Animal Crossing. Obviously not in depth and quality, but just in sheer virality and I guess people loving it. What's the word for this absolutely insane achievement? Go into the Tatted Lawyer, who's joining a little bit late. Shout out to Andrometa and our Nintendo Knight over here. Tatted Lawyer, over to you, bud.
Yeah, sorry about that. I finished up a call a little later than expected, but happy to be here. Just really quick, I love how you made Jerry sound like Morty from Rick and Morty in his intro. Hilarious. But my word here is advertising. And you might be thinking, what is he talking about? This just goes to prove that you can monetize, you can bring a lot of attention in a game like Roblox. So we're going to start to see brands building like small mini games in game platforms like this that bring in users, because they've actually already been experimenting with this with L'Oreal. Their CPI rate is like 9,000% higher when they have like an in-game experience like this, like what we're seeing with what the Roblox game made. So I think we're going to see a lot of brands start to utilize mini games like this that are really simple, very basic, but a part of these massive UGC platforms that already exist to start driving customers, driving clicks, obviously outside the game, but to their products. And what we've been seeing from the data is it makes sense, because once you're actually playing a game and you're doing something, you're much more likely to go explore the brand that's setting it up. So I actually see this as being like a huge thing for gaming, but a massive thing for brands and advertiser to reach a demographic that's kind of hard to reach these days.
Love that take. I know Chipotle was also wildly successful. They did a thing where it was like you could build a burrito in Roblox, I think it was, and then you could get a coupon at the end of it if you built the burrito in the first like 24 hours or something. I want to hear from the Jer Bear next. Jerry, what's the word for this viral sensation?
Yeah, dude, the future. Future is the word, not the future. One word this time, Sam. Future.
Well
It's
done,
the
brother.
yeah, thanks. Listen, this is, I think, just the first of many, and I think this is like the first time we've seen something like this go like really big. But I mean, listen, Roblox is like super well known for having its UGC content pop for like 2 or 3 days and then kind of dying and disappearing. And but I think the platforms are getting so much better and the tooling is getting so much better that like kids can start to do this stuff now, and I think it's kind of scary for like the boomers of the gaming world. I think it's time for them to get the fuck out of the way and let some of these kids run some of this stuff, because like how impressive is it that some guy just did it by himself, just focusing on stuff. And to Michael's point, I think we've seen even in Web3. I thought one of the coolest things that Shrapnel did was build a Fortnite map and have they outsourced it. I think maybe Tony can speak to that a little bit more, but like I think it's going to be a really good way to get your IP in front of a really important audience that is, to Michael's point, really difficult to advertise to. But if you can bring fun shit to them, they'll consume it. So I think this is really cool, and I think this is going to be the first of many. This kid's definitely going to be studied.
Absolutely agree that it's the first of many. We'll see where it evolves from here. Kohji, and then to Kevin Lambert.
Yeah, I think the word is fun, for two reasons, right? Like, A, we're seeing the biggest things that people are talking about this year being stuff like Expedition and Blueprints, and now this. It's like, no, you don't have to like smash a AAA budget into something for people to notice or care or whatever. Look at Balatro. There's a million examples, right? So that I think is really encouraging, especially for Web3 when everyone claims that they want to make a AAA this or whatever. Maybe set the target a little bit more attainably, and you can still make something great that people will care about. I also think that, like, and I know Gnoc will mention this too, for sure, because he always talks about this stuff, is like all of the best games started as mods of other games. Like we all want to say this is new and exciting, and I mean, this many users concurrently is new and exciting, but the idea of like building something within another game that is a net new experience and that people want to play isn't new. Like we saw it with Counter-Strike, we saw it with Dota, we saw it with like, take your pick of game mods or games that started out as mods. So I think that this is like part of a long lineage of things, and now we see like the scale at which you can do this, the audience that you can pull in has just grown exponentially. And this is like on the heels of a topic where we were like, do we ever think we'll see like 500,000 concurrent or like 5 million or whatever the number was concurrent users? And now we're like, okay, well, fuck. It's possible. We just need to build better experiences.
It's really good to hear somebody who's more out of breath than me on these shows. Thank you, Kohji. I think I want to plus one something that Kohji said is like, if this kid can do it with like what I'm assuming is either superpower level skills or very little, I think like one of the things I got really excited about when it like UEFN kind of came out was like, can it bring down the cost of validating your game? So before you go, build things on your own engine or, within Unreal or whatever, and you start to spend a ton of money, can this open up an opportunity for game devs to just do things a little bit more cheaply and like start to validate their game thesis? And I mean, I think that's where these things get really exciting, because then, yeah, you don't have to blow, $15 million before you even understand what you want your game concept to be. So, I mean, I think that's really cool. And it goes a little bit in line with what Kohji was saying.
Yeah, I'm also curious. We bring up Dota a lot. Also, well, there's plenty of examples of MOBAs or these game engines kind of spinning out additional new game genres. Auto chess being another one. But I'm curious why we haven't seen that in a while. Auto chess probably being the most recent one, and I think that was pre-COVID by just like a little bit, by a few months. It was pre-COVID, so about 5 years ago now. And I'm wondering if we're just going to see more and more micro experiences. Like we saw Up Only sort of spawn a bunch of derivative games, but it wasn't like this new genre of like everybody's trying to climb to the top of the mountain all the time and 100 million people are playing that type of game now. Is just a flash in the pan. Do we expect to see another Dota 2 style or Dota original, I guess, type of game spawn out of these UGC platforms? Let's go over to Kevin Lambert, that will tag in Big Spang.
I can just picture Kohji go on his elliptical right now as we're jamming on this space. My word is virality. Like, man, Roblox has matured into this frictionless distribution platform. Like maybe someday it even could eclipse Steam. Not because it looks better, but just because purely the virality architecture of it. It's really interesting that like now you can get things like the speed of creation is no longer like a handicap for people. Like it's almost like it's more like TikTok than Steam, sort of, right, in the way that the products can get out there. And like from the perspective of traditional game studios, how do you even compete with that, right? Like the feedback loops are so fast, the audience behaviors are like really social, and like it seems like success there is more about like the culture and the timing than it is like the mastery of making a great game. So you can really test things quickly. So I don't know, I feel like platforms like this are, someone said the future. I think I agree with that take too. Like this is a really interesting way to get stuff out there quickly in a way that, you know, like a big battleship of a game studio would not be able to do. So I think it's awesome, and I think the virality component is the best piece.
We got big Matthew Buxton from Warp in the comments saying the word is standard. I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Feel free to drop what your word is for this viral sensation. Let's go over to Big Spang, then we're tagging in T-Val.
Kind of off the back of what a lot of people are saying. My word is kids, because the kids are the future, and this is what the kids are playing, and this is going to define what gaming looks like and what games are played from here on out. Experiences like UEFN, experiences like Roblox, they're not just single experience, they're platforms upon which you can have multiple diverse experiences from a diverse range of creators. In the same way that everyone on this panel was influenced by the game that they played when they were 12, these kids are being influenced by these platforms, and I think that's this is the direction people are going, and this is how we're gonna really, as people have said, you know, reinvent how we engage with gamers and the kinds of experiences that can be had. So I think it's huge, and I think it's a huge signifier of what's to come.
Daniel in the comments says, my kid plays Grow a Garden because of peer pressure. He said it's pretty good, but he doesn't play it every day. It gates progress behind getting your friends to play, similar to Candy Crush. Some filthy player acquisition mechanics at play there. Let's go over to Tony, then to Lemz and Gnoc.
Yeah, I think the word is, I'm gonna have to share the future. It is the future. This is it. I think that someone on this show a couple of months ago mentioned that experiences were getting built for fewer and fewer people, to the point where like we're eventually going to get to the place where technology will allow us to build our own bespoke experiences just for us that are somehow shareable and fulfilling in a way that we can't imagine, you know, in the same way that no one could imagine Roblox 30 years ago or whatever. And I think that the key is rapid iteration. I say this whenever I'm on this show, and I'm going to keep saying it. We are the monkeys. AI is the typewriter, and we are going to write Shakespeare together. Like that is, we are in the, if you put 10,000 monkeys in a room with Shakespeare for all eternity, or with typewriters for all eternity, eventually they'll write Shakespeare. Like we've done that. Humans are doing that right now. And someone was talking about the like the type of games that their kids play. I was just playing a game with Hazel yesterday that apparently some kid like the game is popular because some kid in one of the other like dress up games that she plays on Roblox like made this game and went into the game that he's like a clan leader in, or whatever the hell kind of leader you are in Dress Me Up, and like promoted his fans in this other micro game that had been built on Roblox, and now like Hazel's whole friend list is following her around. I think that the ability to like develop friendships and communities online, and then express or share time with those communities in a really truly creative way, is only going to get cooler. Like what you guys are doing at Farcade is wild. I'm actually going to start hosting like an hour a week, just like vibe coding office hours. And I just think that people are going to get together with like 2 or 3 friends and make really, really cool shit, and more people are going to be able to do that.
Absolutely, dude. I would love to hang out with you during one of those. And yeah, some shades of Farcade here for sure. Just real quick, again, if anybody hasn't seen it, we announced a collaboration with the Farcade and Doodles, where we're going to be putting Doodles IP into some of the games that we're making. We've got a prize pool for people to do that. So let's go over to Lemz and Gnoc. We've got 2 more minutes on this subject. Lemz, over to you.
All right, my word is confluence. Like Roblox has created a perfect storm here. It's on like every platform, like tablet, PC, mobile, like console, whatever the hell you want. It's there. They got the amount of people on there. It's like, so they got the distribution, they got the number of people, they got all these people creating content. And then like statistically, you're bound to have breakout hits. You have so many people creating all this content all the time. Like, I think if you like run the numbers, the probability is like it's higher odds like that someone would create something viral than wouldn't. So man, like hats off to Roblox that they've done this. And I feel like they're just going to keep getting bigger from here because like, look at this app. How many of us like use spaces despite that there's like other like, you know, superior tech in other platforms? But why do we all keep coming back here? The network effects. And once you kind of hit that critical mass, it's really hard to like dethrone that person. So yeah, like good job, Roblox.
Dude, my boy in the comments, Pawn, who's been a big gamified fan for a long time, he says, "Gamified, baby, the weekly dopamine with a sprinkle of knowledge." I love it. Knock over to you for the last word.
I am amazed that we made it all the way to me without anybody mentioning the word distribution. This does not happen if this is on any other platform, right? This happened because it was on Roblox. And you've seen this now with Roblox, you've seen it with UEFN. Jerry alluded to the idea that, you know, people can validate ideas quicker. With Fortnite, it's particularly impactful because you're building in Unreal anyway. So if you're building an Unreal game, you're not doing too much duplicate work if you're building a UEFN experience to test out this idea. So for me, I think platforms like this, like Farcade, are incredibly powerful because they provide you with tools to build these games to validate ideas. But more importantly, they provide you with distribution for this product. This kid does not have 8.9 million concurrent players if he built this game by himself over the course of the weekend and published it on Steam. It would never happen that way. It happens because of where it was built. So Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft to some degree have moved from what we knew them as, which was a game, to a distribution platform and a tech platform. And I think you're going to continue to see them move in this direction. I think it's in the DNA of a lot of these companies as well. In the case of Fortnite, it was not Fortnite Battle Royale. They built it on a whim. They pushed out a game mode that blows up, and they've sort of emulated that ability or that thesis and given other people tools to try something similar. And you've seen a lot of games within Fortnite blow up, unique experiences, because they have the built-in distribution. I think that this is a really important step in gaming because it helps to democratize the development of games and it helps to democratize distribution in a way that sort of levels the playing field and aligns incentives. Historically, it's pay me for distribution of this game, but in the case of Roblox or Farcade or Minecraft, it's not pay me for distribution, it's build a game and we'll push it if it's good or if there's traction because we benefit from your game doing well. I think that's incredibly powerful and it's something that we haven't seen yet. Um, Michael and Jerry, just a quick shot at these two. I love these guys, but the reason why it's hard to reach this audience is because they're fucking children and there are laws against marketing towards children. So it should be difficult to reach that audience. And then the last thing you mentioned, Sam, was from a perspective like, do you think we're going to see some of this new genre born out of this? I actually would argue that the answer to that is probably not. Mostly because I think most of the games you're going to see moving forward will be these experiences that you play in association or in tandem with your forever games. One of the things that I've been doing is working through Game Pass on, like, I just filter by like how long to beat, and if it's less than 5 hours, I'll play that game. Shout out Cocoon, fucking incredible, like 4 hour little game, awesome. But I've been working my way through a bunch of Game Pass games trying to play these small experiences because I feel like I don't have to invest a whole lot. And if you can bring that experience from 4 or 5 hours down to 35 minutes and I can have some fun with it, great. I'll play a fuck ton of those over the course of the week. So I think that you'll see games get less expensive because forever games are becoming more and more difficult to compete against every single year.
They really are, man. And this shows me for saying the last word. I haven't had a chance to hear from the beast from Beamable, John, and also Tatted Lawyer wanted to get a word in response to what you said there. So, John and Tatted, we're going to give you 30 seconds each. Go for it.
Sure, I think Gnoc stole all the thunder on this. Everything he just said was brilliant. Roblox is a highly misunderstood platform by anyone who doesn't actually use Roblox, which I suspect is almost everyone. Like, people hear about Roblox, but not everyone here is actually in the demo that makes use of Roblox. number one, it's a development platform, but number two, it is a game distribution platform. It's really YouTube for games with a development platform built into it. It's like if YouTube suddenly offered, I don't know, Adobe Premiere or something as part of signing up for YouTube. So it's an incredible combination that lets you turn an idea into something that can then get a lot of users. And a big part that isn't even understood is just how portable the social graph is there. So people play one game and they're hanging out with their friends. They can all just decide to jump into another experience on Roblox at a moment's notice, and they all travel over there together. So that's a very, very unique dynamic that's kind of unique to Roblox and maybe emerging in UEFN, not there at the same scale yet, though.
Great stuff from John. Let's go to Tatted, then we're going to move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Gnoc's point, you are right, except more than 50% of the Roblox player base is actually now over the age of 13. And the reason that I say it's hard to reach these players is a lot of these players don't live on social media, which was obviously the main distribution pathways for a lot of these games over the last, like, let's say 10 years or so. So now they're just trying to find different ways, because what we've seen is there's a massive decline in influencer marketing year over year. I think it's like a 45% decline in influencer marketing in terms of its effectiveness. So that's why we're seeing new trends like these Roblox ad spends, like these new Roblox experiences, because we're not reaching just any gamer of any age. But I do also agree with the children laws, COPA laws. They do exist. But to my point, more than 50% of players in Roblox are over the age of 13. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, the big question for Roblox is, are they going to be able to age up sort of with their user base that is continuously getting older for obvious reasons? Jerry, Jerry, I see the hand up. I do have to go, but real quick.
Yeah, I think data is showing that they actually are retaining decently well, but beyond that age group. But yeah, I mean, I think Knock is right about distribution and everything. Distributing games in Roblox is not hard. uh Getting people to spend 25 hours or 50 hours into one is the difficult thing. So I think that's the thing to look out for here is like, do people, yeah, a lot of people are playing it, but what is the 30 to 60 day life cycle of those users is going to be the really important thing to watch.
We move on. This is the new game mode, Steelman. Okay, I'm tired of people just taking the easy way out on some of these topics, just dunking on the obvious. Okay, we're steel manning, play to earn. You have to tell me why play to earn is the future. Okay, example of what this might look like. Dimensionals leaves Web3. Steelman and why Dimensionals is actually in the right to do that instead of just being like, oh, Dimensionals fucking sucks, which is way easier. So the topic today again, play to earn. Got to Steelman why this is the future of the game of gaming, despite not working long term in Web3 gaming and largely kind of being a taboo term at this point. If you see anybody dropping the old P2E, you're running in the opposite direction. What would a future look like where play to earn is thriving? Lemz with the hand up first.
All right, so we've been doing this thing for a few years now, and we've been saying Web3 gaming is inevitable, and we've yet to have like a real breakout hit. What has been the most successful thing in this space that broke into mainstream? Axie Infinity. You can call it what you want to call it or whatever, but hey, that has done that. So we need to go back to basics, and we need to recreate Axie 2.0 and do it and run it back turbo, because we need the magic back from 2021.
Dude, Lemz is not a very animated person, but I've never heard less enthusiasm in his voice than when he was giving us that little ditty right there. Let's go over to Kohji and then to Spang.
Yeah, I think play to earn is the future because, I mean, if you do it right, what we're talking about really is like a revenue share to your like largest contributors, right? And we already see this working in so many other places. Like, yeah, I mean, X is a great example of all these fucking assholes posting like, look at the $200 that Elon gave me or whatever. Like, people give a fuck, but like, it is something that works, and I think that like if the game succeeds, the people that are helping the game succeed, and not just the people working at the company, should succeed along with it, and that includes giving the highest the people who have the most hours in the game, or the people who are grinding the hardest, or whatever the company decides is a metric, a little bit of a taste of that, and that essentially equates to play to earn.
I love that take. That was a great one. Spang, over to you then, tatted lawyer.
See, I'm actually very excited for this because I get to go on the rants that I've been going on for a couple of years now. I think that the future in which like if you look at the way that games are being like you look at everything that's going wrong with AAA games and how they're not monetizing properly, and like this over prevalence of microtransactions and, on mobile and on PC, it's because there's there's data that's being generated by those games, which is then being used by the advertising networks to do all of this distribution and monetization and all of this kind of stuff that isn't being funneled back into the games. So if games are able to find a way to properly monetize the value that they're bringing into the economy in collecting and, you know, preference organizing these consumers, it would be so easy for them to benefit from a system in which they're returning some of that value to the players, because the value of data is something that has completely evaded current like economics at a large scale, and soon that's going to be changing. And I think AI is going to be a big proponent of that, because any way you can get consumer preferences you know, collected is going to be used to train AI models, and training AI models is a very profitable endeavor. So by actually allowing games to benefit from the data that they're producing and collecting, it's and finding a way to do that, then the redistribution of those profits and those revenues is going to be much easier to funnel back to the consumer, because that's the real the real value of a lot of these players is the data they generate while playing and purchasing in the game.
Great stuff from Spang. I want to hear from Tade, then we're going to Kevin Lambert.
Yeah, I just want to make the point here. Obviously, everybody always talks about Axie Infinity, and yes, they are the gold standard, but also they launched at a time that, you know, everything was new, and being the first sometimes is the reason that you win. But I like to look at games that are just a little bit more recent, that we've seen recent success. And I know that a lot of the panel hates this game, but Night Crows is the play to earn game. Like, as much as you want to say that it's not, you can play the game and earn money from playing the game. Like, I can't do that from other games. So to me, that's a play to earn game. It utilizes the blockchain. I think we're going to start to see a lot more, even Web2 games start to integrate and implement this style or this approach to the Web3 space and to the play to earn aspect of the space, because right now it makes sense. Like, if you have an ARPG, that kind of style makes sense. Trading assets was what this entire space was born out of. And then we got really, really deep in the weeds with these token economies. But I think if we start to simplify it and create something that works because we actually have concurrent players playing the game, we're going to see a lot of like network effects like we saw with Night Crows and how successful that game has been. So I do think that there's a lot of ways to do it. I just think excuse me, I think that the industry, both Web2 traditional and Web3, are trending this way. It's just no one's really figured out the way to do it succinctly, sustainably, etc. And then obviously everybody loses focus because they then start to focus on their token more so than the game and the player experience in the game. But as long as we can start to balance those things out, I really do think that like a mixture between the halfway point between Axie and the halfway point between Night Crows is really where we're going to start to find the sweet spot for these play to earn titles.
Dude, I love this. It's so great seeing you guys, Steelman. This, you know, it's similar to the Night Crows example. We just talked about it on Simplified this week. Gnoc might be also keen to talk about this, but Big Time is also a play to earn game. They haven't shied away from it and has produced some of the biggest revenue numbers of the entire space period outside of Axie. Let's go over to Kevin Lambert, then to Gnoc and Tony.
This is an interesting one. I think play to earn is the future because digital labor is inevitable in our world, and games are just sort of the most engaging form of that at a high level. Like, you know, digital economies aren't very different than real economies, right? And play to earn just sort of recognizes and tokenizes that value, right? In Web 2, you've got publishers and developers extracting all of that, and in Web3 you got players sharing that. So it seems like a total natural evolution of that. I think on the ownership side, like every generation cares about digital ownership, right? Like you got Gen Z and Gen Alpha already, you know, totally valuing skins and accounts and digital flexing, you know, in some cases more equal to or more than physical goods, right? And Web3 just makes those more liquid and tradable. So play to earn sort of adds instant utility and yield by that lens. And it's a spectrum, right? It's not just like, hey, we're all, hey, Jerry's here, so I can talk about my article and get slammed by him about the Web3 personas. But like, there is a spectrum here of like what your motivation is, and the optionality doesn't ruin it. It actually enhances that by saying like, hey, if you as a developer say the social contract and expectation is that the top 100 players are gonna earn, and everyone else can decide whether or not they want to enter into that social contract. That doesn't ruin anything. In fact, it's sustainable. So the first wave of play to earn games does not necessarily reflect the future of the paradigm here. And I think as developers start to set expectations better, have more sustainable earning mechanisms, that can certainly be a future that works out. And I know there's a few balls in the air at the moment that are attempting to do the next evolution of play to earn. I'm excited to see it too.
You and me both, brother. All right, we're going over to our chief simplifying officer here. Gnoc, I've just set a timer for 2 minutes, okay? I'm giving you a 2-minute clock. Simplify why play to earn is actually the future. Steelman this bad boy. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best Tony V impression here before, so I can front run him here a little bit. But it's show me the money. I'm going to black out for 45 seconds. I missed this on Rumble, Devil's Advocate, where I get to just black out and argue about something I don't really believe in, but we're going to do it anyway. I actually think that the problem with play to earn, at least from like a Western perspective, is that play to earn is associated with earning a living wage by Western standards. And I think that this has long been a real big fucking issue for people who are looking at play to earn. People like to point at Axie and say, oh, it only lasted a year or two. Most games would kill to last a year or two in this space. So I think by all accounts that was largely successful. I think you're going to see a ton of teams implement similar things. And it doesn't have to be Ponzonomics. It doesn't have to be more players in, and then you'll continue earning money. I think that we saw like tastes of this with what came out of Cambria in their recent season where, hey, spend some money, play the game, earn a portion of the total prize pool. You see shades of this in Dota, the International, where for a period of time, here's a skin that everybody can kind of purchase, and the players who are competing in that tournament then earn a piece of that prize pool. I think play to earn comes in many different shapes and forms. And what we've seen to date has been one. It is, I'm playing this game, I'm going to attract 5 of my friends to play this game, and I'm hopefully going to walk out with some of their money. I don't think that that's sustainable. That's probably not what it looks like forever. But there is a world where I can earn 30 cents or 40 cents or 80 cents on the dollar of the dollars that I put in, or I can play the game in a different way and earn less of that. I think that that is something that you're going to see a ton of. We saw Frankie go, Jonah and the team at Frankie's Dinner put this out earlier today. I was having a conversation with Brian DeSanto, and I said, if I could earn even 80% of the dollars that I put into this game, I would have Frankie go up on my second monitor all day long playing that game, because I play a ton of Capybara Go, and when I spend money there, I don't get any of that fucking money out. So if there's some form of potential return, if I have to do some in-game things to earn some of that capital that I'm putting back in, I think that that's still play to earn.
That's 2 minutes. Nice work, Gnoc. Finish right at the buzzer. The Capybara Go, add it to the list of games that Gnoc claims to play all the time with his apparently infinite schedule that never seems to be capped out. It's fucking insane. All right, I think I said I would go to Tony, and I want to hear from John, and then Vidar's back in the building. Tony and John, over to you.
Gnoc, you made it not even funny, but show me the fucking money is what I would say. But yeah, same thing I said on Simplified. I think that that many people in this space, myself included, sometimes fall into the trap about being down on the play to earn model. But I think it's because like none of us have really or are still really in any of the ones that are working for whatever reason. But I think about Big Time all the time as a great example. Those folks seem to just have their heads down, building shit for an audience that likes what they're building enough to spend a bunch of money in it. And whether or not the thing that they like is the carefully crafted, value loop that is wrapped in a video game, or swinging their sword a million times, like I kind of think it doesn't matter. And maybe actually, I take that back. I think it does matter. And I think it matters so much that like solving that is crucial for folks that want to be successful in this space. And like I don't think they would solve it the same way, but understanding that that your audience is intrinsically different than any audience that you've marketed to before in entertainment, because they expect and we say expect and frankly deserve some amount of return, right? I think I've said this a bunch of times that I think the most successful entertainment companies in the future are going to be those that have maybe like $500 million CEOs, or CEOs that take like $50 million instead of $100 million, and then plow the rest of those bonuses directly back into customer rewards. I do think that that's going to be the model, and like our generation probably is starting that, and the one behind us is probably going to proliferate it even more.
Hey, if anybody's looking for a CEO to only take 50 mil and to give generously give another 50 back to the community, I volunteer as tribute. You can knock down my door anytime. John Radoff, over to you then to Vidar.
So play to earn is a really awesome marketing slogan. It's like one of the first times that whoever the Web3 chief marketing officer actually got right as like a legitimately good term. But it's an area where Web3 just hasn't executed on it yet. So Web3 play to earn really is just Ponzi-nomics. There are actual play to earn systems that predate Web3 entirely. I'll give you two kind of almost obvious examples. One is esports, where people play and they win. And if they're really, really good, they can form teams and earn a whole bunch of money. Like that's play to earn. Another is the gold farmers in World of Warcraft, where you don't want to buy gold and you're willing to just trade money for time. There's a gold farmer somewhere in China who will happily do that for you, or maybe not even in China now, somewhere else. But they'll get you your gold. So that's play to earn, the grind. So I'm not sure exactly where Web3 is actually going to add the brand new play to earn mechanics, but I suspect that for it to be really unique to Web3, it's going to leverage the unique properties of Web3, and composability may be where it's at. I think there's a unique opportunity for Web3 games to publish a lot of their data on chain, make it accessible to other people who want to operate tournaments, add-ons to the game, extensions to the game, all around the same in-game economy. And that, of course, hasn't happened, at least at scale, in any situation I know of yet. I know that like Wildcard Alliance has talked about some of those kind of composable aspects in the past, but I think that's where we're going to really see it. It's not going to be kind of the obvious take the things that were play to earn from Web 2 gaming and just throw it into Web 3 with a token, but it's going to leverage composability in some really interesting way we haven't even seen yet.
Sam, if we're honest, that felt more like a tinfoil man.
Dub, speaking of Wildcard Alliance, Dub in the comments says, play to earn has long needed a rebrand. We have been cooking on it. Get ready. I don't know which we he's talking about. Glitter Cloud, Wildcard, I know Soulforge Fusion they're working with. There's a lot of clients there. I'm not sure where we're going with that. Vidar in the comments, though, said he was ready to tell us all why we're wrong about play to earn, and Vidar, I've never been more ready. Steelman, why play to earn is the future.
No. Can you all hear me? Spam emojis, yes or no. Thumbs up. I'm on a new microphone.
God damn it, you're fine. Go ahead. Go.
Okay,
go ahead.
good. Fuck it. All right, I'm not here to tell you all why play to earn is the future. I'm not here to do that at all. I'm here to do the fucking opposite. Play to earn is dead because all of you keep pushing it.
He doesn't understand. Mute him.
I'm gonna see where he's going for like 10 more seconds, Vidar, but you are supposed to steelman it.
You're all biased, and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to give you two new terms. One of them is pay to sustain and play to entertain. If you ever hear that in the future, I came up with it. Okay? People aren't going to play your game and all make money. A couple of you guys said this. Oh, yeah, Gnoc's like, yeah, maybe they play 40 cents, 80 cents. Yeah, if you're just paying people out of your ass, you're going to run out of fucking money. You're going to destroy your economy. Look what happened to Axie Infinity. Dead. Okay, it's not the gold standard. It's the shit standard. Let's be real about it, okay? So how do you do this in the future? How is this actually going to work? Well, somebody mentioned World of Warcraft. Yes, people pay for services, but they're not paying with your token. Well, that's a problem. So you need to make them do that in a way that's sustainable for both the player and you, so you're not scalping the shit out of them. Also, you mentioned esports. Esports are not and have never been sustainable. Every single esports business bleeds money. If you don't believe me, go ask people that run esports businesses. They just bleed money like crazy. They make money off of marketing and all this other nonsense. It's not a sustainable business model. So you need to have people come into your game in a way that's sustainable to make money, and then they help each other for services only. There's going to be people that play to entertain, which means they're there to play the game because it's fun. If you don't have a fun game, you're not doing shit, right? And then there's other people that are going to do the opposite, right? They're there to pay to save time. But you need to facilitate that in a way that's more easy for them. So let's use World of Warcraft as a very quick example, then I'll shut up, Sam. When you run somebody through a dungeon or a raid, you get scammed like 5 times out of 10 by someone that's spamming gold or whatever. Run you through Mythic plus 15 or whatever the fuck for 2 million gold or whatever. Yeah, and then you run with him, and then it's some Indonesian and he scams you. Okay, put it on a smart contract so that when you finish the dungeon and you kill the last boss, that's when it gets fulfilled. Make everything on chain, make everything transparent, and then you can siphon money off of that transaction. There's plenty of other ways to monetize this. I've been thinking about it for a very, very long time and for years. So I'm way ahead of you. But that said, I know all of you guys are just here to make money. So you want to invest in the shit that's going to make money. So don't listen to me. Go invest in the shit that's going to be a Ponzi because you want to make money off their token. All right. Have a good day.
Matthew Buxton in the comments is all caps, literally the thing we've been saying since like forever. Dave Schick says play to earn is dead. Long live play to earn. I'm going to Jerry and to Tatted Lawyer, then we're going to move on.
There's been 2 times where the gaming people in crypto have gotten mad at me. And that's every time I talk about Illuvium, and then when I talked about Heroes of Mavia for the way they did their UA. And because everybody told me that that was going to be the future, and they told me that I'm an idiot, and that Heroes of Mavia is going to be the next greatest game of all time. And I'll let you guys decide who time proved right on that one. But what did Heroes of Mavia do? And this was actually kind of novel at the time, is they just paid everybody to go install the game, and then they said, "Hey, look, we're number 1 on the App Store." And then they had no live ops, no sort of follow up to the game, but they could have, right? And I think they laid out a really interesting blueprint that a more capable team will be able to execute well on in the future, which is incentivize people to even get the game started, right? Incentivize app open, which is actually like not as common as you guys would think, right? When you look at data of people who install games, there's a ton of people that just install the game and never open it, right? So you can incentivize every step of this user journey. And I think we've been proven, a few times now that people will continue if there's incentive in place, right? Was Mavia the team that could pull this off? No, but I think they laid out a very interesting blueprint that I haven't really seen anybody attempt to follow. And I say it every week. I think people are missing the advantages and the strengths that Web3 can offer. There's some pretty compelling ideas that are out there that a more capable team who's capable of doing live ops and offering more hours of entertainment can start to juice the player journey a little bit. And it takes a little bit of clever market making and some liquidity, but I think that a team can do it, and we have the means to be able to do it.
I'm going over to Tatted for the last word. We're at 48 comments, by the way. Great to see the comments coming alive again. Thanks so much, guys, for playing along with us. Any final Steelmen out there that want to talk play to earn? And then we got a juicy one coming up after the ad break here. But Tatted, go for it.
Yeah, I heard some really, really good points here. I don't totally disagree with what Vidar said. I just think it might be a little bit of short-sighted because I'm going to use a game that one of my Web2 friends plays all the time named Marvel Rivals, and he described it in a way that really, really stuck out to me. So in Marvel Rivals, you can either just play the game, or you can obviously purchase the battle pass, you can purchase skins, yada, yada, yada. If you do purchase the battle pass, as you're playing the game and as you're, like playing a certain amount of matches or getting a certain amount of kills, whatever, you're obviously progressing through the battle pass. And what happens is the battle pass will give you premium currency for you then to go buy these skins rather than you whipping out your credit card to buy these skins, because you've essentially already bought the battle pass and now they're rewarding you with this premium currency to go buy these skins because you bought the battle pass. That to me is a form of play to earn, even though you can't go take these tokens and cash them out for USDC. You're still essentially earning as you're playing. And he used the words, and this is why it stuck out to me. He's like, I feel like I spend on this battle pass every season, but I'm actually like making money back because now I'm not just spending on skins like 20 bucks a skin. Now the game is giving me the money to go buy the skins. So I
Dude.
do think, to Knoc's point, we just have seen the like only one iteration of play to earn. And to Vidar's point, yes, there's definitely service-based play to earn as well. But I think that there's different ways that we could evolve this kind of idea or concept that people just haven't integrated yet in Web3, that we do see like the foundational basis for in Web 2 that have worked really, really well and still give that player the sense of I am earning as I'm playing the game. Yes, I had to spend something in front to be able to do this earning, but it feels as if it's coming back to me in some way, shape, or form just because I'm playing and now enjoying the game that I'm playing. So I just wanted to add that in terms of totally different perspective of how play to earn could be implemented or integrated into these games in the future.
That is psychotic that they have found a way to psychologically convince somebody they're actually making money by buying that battle pass. That's incredible. Thanks for the anecdote there. Tony also has one of the most ridiculous Marvel rival situations I've ever heard. I don't know if he wants to share it, but
I own every
Kohji,
Marvel Rival skin. Shut up, it's a problem.
he has every single Marvel rival skin.
Do you play the game a lot, Tony, or do you
I
just buy the
respect that.
skins?
I was playing it a lot, like up until I started traveling a month ago, and I'm trying to get back in now, but it's a problem. I don't know. I want to see Thor in all of his colors. Not only do I own all the skins, I own all the chromas for all the skins.
Oh my god,
Wow.
Tony! How many characters in the game do you play total?
Four.
And there's like 40. All right, Kohji gets the last word.
I just want to like jump off what our lawyer friend here said. An important asterisk is that you can't turn that premium currency into dollars. And the problem with tokens as they are, and maybe this is a shout out to Gabe at Limit Break, and maybe app tokens will save us all. But people just want to earn in a game and then hold the tokens to Valhalla, and they're just like, well, like because you can turn tokens into USDC, they're just like, it'll go up. They love the idea of syncs for other people. They like the idea that other people might spend their tokens on these things, but they'll never do it themselves, and that's the biggest problem.
That's so fantastically accurate. Van Ho in the comments says Tony is my favorite human. I have to hard agree there. Jerry, a quick word that we move on.
Yeah, just real quick. I talked about this on Simplified, but I think with Web3 and what it offers to us, we have to start looking at different metrics and different KPIs, right? So, Gnoc will appreciate this, but like I think return on reward spend, right? Return on what you're putting out is a huge KPI, and people need to start thinking about when you emit these tokens or when you give out this money, right? How do you make the business successful, and how do you make more money back off of that, right? It's a huge advantage that we have, and it kind of sucks to see everybody fuck it up, like day in and day out.
Shout out to NFT Clinton in the comments, dropping a great one. We're going to move on. It's a little lengthy, but appreciate you being here and getting involved. Some awesome stuff going on in there. I'm going to move on to, of course, shouting out our incredible sponsors. Why wait in the queue when you could be conquering dungeons at the mountaintop? Avalanche gives builders their very own subnets like private ski lifts to the summit level scale, and that's why Off the Grid chose Avalanche to power its dystopian carnage. EVM compatible fee light and finale fast. It's the slope slide solution for studios going Web3 and looking to snowball their success. Thank you to AVAX for being the official chain of Gamified. Quick anecdote there. London was fucking awesome, dude. Anybody curious? London was insane. Tired of being a pawn in somebody else's playtest? Game 7 makes you the main character. Whether you're crafting code, championing communities, or just showing up and staying active like you guys are in the comments, you'll be recognized, rewarded, and remembered with credits and soul-bound status. And word on the chain is something big is coming. So power up your plotline with Game 7, the official infrastructure of Gamified. And the FARK turns everyday creators into game devs with tools so intuitive you can go from idea to playable game in minutes. The best part, you don't need an audience. We'll give you one. Post your game directly into social feeds and compete in our creator contest. You could walk away with cash prizes worth thousands if you compete in the Doodles one that we have going right now. It's game time, baby. And of course, podcast growth is nightmare difficulty, and we forgot to bring health potions. So toss us a revive by giving us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share the show with a friend that wants to know about the real side of Web3 gaming. Don't make us add in microtransactions. We'll do it. I don't know how, but we'll do it. Also, if you could retweet the space, I would really appreciate that. We got another banger topic where I'm going to make people argue, hot or not. Tell me if this take is hot. Actually, Lemz, I think you were going to kick this one off. Lemz, over to you, bud.
All right. So live service games, like we've talked about this before, most of them are like all the popular ones in the top 10 are like 5+ years old. So my hot take is new live service games are basically dead on arrival. It was also inspired by like this other report I saw that a guy was saying that live service games are like the old ones that are existing are just like black hole games. They suck in all the users. They keep everyone in there. It's like the network effects we were talking about earlier with Roblox as well. So it's like so hard to break in as a new live service game. And in an industry where the odds are stacked against you and we're in a hit-driven business, you're basically making it even more difficult for yourself by building a live service game. So why even bother anymore?
Kevin Lambert with the hand up. Why even bother? Live service games are dead on arrival. Hot take or not?
Very hot take, man. This is a good one. Live service games are the future, man. Like, I mean, not every type of game, but let me give you the game developer perspective on live service, right? So here you are developing a game, and you're halfway through production. You really want this feature in, and you're looking at your roadmap and your budget and the time you got left. And you're like, man, it's unlikely that we're gonna get that in. So either you cut other things to get it in, or you say, "Hey, you know what? It's not a when. It's not sorry. It's not an if. It's a when." And you're like, "Okay, that's fine. We'll get it in an update. We're good. We can sleep at night. We know we'll have it, and we'll have a nice first impression of this feature. But we know it'll get really juicy when we add this thing to it." Like without live service, I guess you could do that in a patch, like if you just commit to like 1 or 2 DLCs and that's it or something. But I mean, live service games are the lifeblood of, being able to deliver something good to great at launch and then continue to make it excellent and also to respond to feedback, right? Like, I mean, it's just crazy to me. I mean, I guess I've been biased because I've been working on live service games for maybe like 2 decades now, but I don't know. I don't see them ever going away. Yes, it's challenging and there are incumbents in there and it can be tough to break in, but that doesn't mean you should just walk away from it. So, yeah, hot take.
Muy Caliente says Kevin Lambert. I'm going to John Radoff next. John, is this a hot take? Live service games dead on arrival, man. You can't make any money here.
Yeah, so Beamable is a platform for building your live service games. So
Oh
I'll
no.
take this one personally. All right, so here's some metrics. 95% of game studios are already in operation with or going to be shipping as their next game a live services game. And it's something about 90% of all revenue in a $200 billion industry is derived from live services games. So you don't have, no one's holding a gun to your head. You don't have to make a live services game. You can ship another single player game onto Steam where there's 19,000 new games last year and hope to stand out. But live services is the way, as Kevin was pointing out, that you can actually improve and continue to monetize the experience over time. And you don't have to be in the top 10. Not being in the top 10 doesn't mean you're dead on arrival. Lots of successful game studios thrive and build really successful businesses without being in the top 10. So I think it's great to aspire to be in the top 10. Like if you've got the capital runway and everything that it takes to do it, go for it. Like there have been successful launches into the top 10 in the last few years, and teams have an opportunity to do it. But being in the top 100 can be pretty great. Being in the top 1,000 can be amazing for a lot of teams. For teams of 10 or 20 people, which is what it takes to build kind of AA quality game these days. If you have the right resources, like a Beamable, like a 3D engine, like don't build everything yourself and focus on the fun, then you can ship a pretty viable game with a 10 to 20 person studio that will give those people lots of profit share, lots of income for years and years to come, and potentially enough to roll into the next game that you could build that could be even bigger and better. So I would never want to tell a game studio, like, you're dead on arrival because you can't be in the top 10, give up now. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous to me. So actually, it's the other way around, which is, if you want to be successful with your game and be capital efficient and have a opportunity for growth, then you're going to be a live services game to have any shot whatsoever at surviving that launch with I don't know how many games will be on Steam this year, 20,000 or more, right?
I love the script flipped. Non-live service games are dead on arrival in a twist of a topic.
I think we should also qualify what exactly a live service game is. Let me give some niche ones here. Okay, so is Hades or Slay the Spire live service because they added a few patches, but in my mind maybe they're not because they had to do basically they did the expansion model instead of like DLCs and battle passes and stuff like that. John, what would you
Yeah,
categorize them as?
good question. Yeah, shipping DLC does not make you a live services game. But I'd say virtually any game that has an aspect of connected entertainment, whether that's regular content updates that stream through the game, or an online economy, or a social system embedded into the game, or multiplayer, those are all various versions that, depending on your genre, there'll be a different stack ranking of which of those kind of things are actually important for your game. But live services really just comes down to, it's a game that gets managed over time and updated, and there's some connective aspect where you are connecting with other players or content or new experiences over time.
I want to go to Kohji and Vidar, but I saw Lemz put the hand back up. Lemz, in your opinion, sort of where do you see this gray line landing?
Yeah, I'm thinking more like live multiplayer stuff. And like, for clarity, like, I don't want this to be a big case. I want to have new cool live service games. But yeah, seeing this report kind of inspired this thing. And I was like, this will make an interesting conversation. Because like, one thing in the report was saying that in the last, like, I think it was 5 years or 5 to 10 years, like, live service games are just failing faster and faster and faster. And like, we just saw like XDefiant, right? They just shut down and couldn't gain any traction. And it's like, we're just seeing more and more and more of that, and it just feels like, yeah, you're just going in an uphill battle against the incumbents, and it just feels like it's getting progressively harder and harder year over year.
It's a psyop from Tencent. Don't believe it.
It's a psyop. I love that. I have to say, saying XDefiant didn't get any traction is a wild statement. Okay, 11 million users. You could say that they didn't hit the flywheel of monetization, but no traction is crazy. Kohji, over to you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So I just meant like they got shut down. They didn't hit enough traction, I guess, for them to keep it going as a business.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, Kohji, so Hades, Slay the Spire, and Binding of Isaac, are we calling these live service games just to set a qualifier? And then I want to go to you because you're only working on Check's notes 3 that we're aware of. Who knows how many more that we're not?
Yeah. So I would say those examples are not live service games.
I agree.
I would also say, well, this is a hot take, but I also disagree with the take. We just spent the first half of the show talking about network effects and how word of mouth can make a game that somebody built in Roblox in whatever time it took them, into like the most concurrent players we've seen in a very long time. And so I think that, like, what it comes down to is live services these days are a bit of a requirement. People expect to be able to play games with their friends. And so I think you need some elements of live services in order to enable that, and then to capitalize on some of that virality. Of course, we've seen like a number of very successful single player games even this year. In fact, the ones that I rattled off earlier are all single player experiences. But I do think that if you truly want to hit it big, you have to go with live services. And to say that, like, oh, there's all these incumbents, like you don't hold a candle. Like, when was the last time you motherfuckers logged on to MySpace? So like all empires fall at some point. So I wouldn't I wouldn't let that hold you back.
I'd put you in my top 8, Kohji. Vidar, dunk on these fools. Why is this a hot take or or is it at all? New live service games are dead on arrival, dude.
Obviously false. The only reason people have this assertion is because World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV exist and have existed for the past 20-odd years. So they go, oh, if we make a live service game, there's just black hole games that keep all of these people inside their own ecosystems and they can't play any other games. How many of you played World of Warcraft? I'm just going to assume that like all of you are raising your hands right now because you're all nerds. And how many of you have played any other live service game? Probably all of you. So just because you play another game doesn't mean you can't play other games or you can't play a new game. I'm pretty sure everyone that currently plays MMOs is thinking to themselves, oh man, you know what I wish would come out right now? A new MMO so I could try it. Even though I'm now 35 and 40 and I have 3 kids and I don't have that much time, shit, I'd still play it casually because I remember when I was a kid and I loved WoW or whatever X game, insert game here, right? Same thing. So it's definitely not dead. It's the future, and it's the only way to really monetize things going forward, as was pointed out by Kevin, if you want to do any successive updates for the game.
Tatted lawyer, I'm tagging you in, brother.
Yeah, I think this idea that live service games are dead is insane because we just talked about one of the biggest live service games ever being Marvel Rivals that just came out just a couple months ago. We can also talk about Zenless Zone Zero. We can also talk about Destiny 2. We can also talk about even Ghost of Tsushima now is a live service game with its co-op multiplayer that they keep adding on to. So to think that live service games are dead, you guys are insane. I think they're the most popular games ever right now. I think we're actually seeing a resurgence of non-live service games and type of like a story-based game, maybe like an Expedition 33 for as an example, a most recent example of that. But I don't think live service games are going anywhere. I think Kevin hit the nail on the head before in his response when he was talking about, a game developer's dream. If you develop this game that, people are dedicating so many hours to and so much time to, and we started to kind of live in a world where people jump less from game to game to game when they find their comfort game, that's just the game that they play because I'm going to come home from school, I'm going to come home from work, and I'm going to play this game because I'm so used to playing it and I like it, and it's keeping it fresh enough for me to want to continuously play it. So I think live service games are absolutely going to continue in a very big way. I don't think XDefiant failed because it was a live service game. I think XDefiant failed because it's so hard to retain players in the shooter genre. I don't think it had anything to do with XDefiant. I think people were just like, this was cool, but my comfort game is Call of Duty. So I'm going to go back and play Call of Duty, or my comfort game is PUBG or whatever. But it's just because XDefiant wasn't able to break into that comfort game level of gaming that it, lost a lot of its players or failed to retain a lot of its players and really hit that monetization loop. So to say that live service games are dead, when I just listed like potentially 6 of the top games of the last 24 months in terms of gross revenue, you guys are crazy. I do think we're going to see a resurgence of the story-based games, and I'm hyped about that as a gamer who started in the 90s and obviously early 2000s. That was what really dominated the gaming airwaves, if you will. But to think that this live service cash cow is ever going to stop in terms of how developers are currently developing, how they can make their games better, iterate better maps, better experiences as the game goes on and as it's developed more, you guys are insane. So dead on arrival? Absolutely not. I think it's more alive than it ever has been.
One thing I want to jump in there, you kind of like made my point though of people going back to their comfort games. So the thing is, like, newer games, it's harder to break in because people have those comfort games that they keep going back to.
I did
right?
just list 6 games that came out in the last 12 months that were wildly successful.
All right, I'll let you with that.
Tony, the Titan of Twitch, I want to hear from you, bro. What do we think of live service games?
Man, everyone said that shit I was gonna say, so I'm not gonna take a whole bunch of time. But yeah, I mean, the people want to play games. People want to experience the IP they're experiencing forever. It's why there are 10,000 Marvel movies now, because they figured out that there's a cohort of humans, like the people that will buy every Marvel Rivals skin, that will watch every Marvel movie that comes out, regardless of how bad it is, right? And just because I love the IP, I love being in the experience. And I think that's going to only become more true. And I think going back to the Roblox example, to the Fortnite example, the games that are able to allow people to create their own experiences within the construct of the game that they're building are going to be the ones that win. I don't think that always has to be a monolithic Roblox or Minecraft or pure UGC engine competitor. I think there's a lot of room for competitive creation, or not competitive creation, but like matchmaking creation, allowing people to more easily associate themselves in a group while they're playing a game, and spend time together like they would in a Discord. I think there's a lot of open sky there still that's not being addressed. But I do think that core to any game experience, like anyone said, is going to be the ability to monetize it beyond the 40 to 80 hours that the core gameplay represents.
Great stuff, man. I'm gonna go to Jerry, then to Gnoc.
Yeah, I don't, dude. I don't even know what a fucking live service game is anymore. You guys have some crazy definitions for these for live service. Yeah, dude. No, I don't think they're dead at all. I think for most people and most game teams, like I think live service is just gonna be more and more popular. But like XDefiant is a great example because when we think of Ubisoft, do we think of like a live services team, right? When we think of Naughty Dog, do we think of a team that does live services? Like, not really, right? And I think this is like you see this a lot in like AAA studios who think they can go build in mobile and then they botch it, or you see this with like mobile studios who try to go build double or AAA PC console titles and like they can't do it. So I think the what we're talking about is like live service is incredibly hard to do. Um, you need like to double your development team pretty much. You need to have really good product people on the live service side or the games as a service side. And like I think what we're seeing with some of these shutdowns is teams that aren't really like don't have the fabric within the studio to actually pull these things off. Now, like I've been super into like platformers and kind of like more chill games lately. Like I think Little Nightmares has done super fucking well, right? Not a live service game. So I don't think everybody needs to do this. Like It Takes Two, fucking Ori and the Blind Forest, shout out to Kevin. Like there's so many really good games, but the building, a standalone title or a non live service game is in the fabric of what those companies do. So, I think it's uh, I think the further we get down the games industry, though, it's going to be more free to play, more microtransactions, more seasonal type stuff. And like, look at this panel, man. Like, we all spend money on like games like Marvel Rivals. Gnoc buys every battle pass in the world, right? We are all suckers for live service. So I think it's not going anywhere. I think it's just going to be more and more present in the games industry.
Gnoc, I'm going to you, then to John Radoff and Spang.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town called Caledon where you quite literally had to walk uphill both ways in the snow to school, and I think that's the challenge that live service teams are facing today. It's not dead on arrival, but it's really fucking difficult for a variety of reasons. When you're building a live service title, you effectively have two teams building that game, right? You have the team that ships the game, they're building in a static environment, they're delivering the game on launch. They typically stay on for maybe one or two patches, and it gets handover, at least in part, to a team that will manage that game from a live service perspective. Because while there is some overlapping skills, it really is a different way of developing a game. You have to manage things in real time. You are not building in that static environment. And what happens is, if you're a big team and you're not Call of Duty, or you're not a team that has released a game like EA Sports, Madden, or FIFA every single year for the last 20 years, you don't have the infrastructure in place to do that efficiently. And when you're a public company, you have to work under capital efficiency. So what happens is you build a game, you ship it with your A team, that A team stays on for the first patch, you ensure that the people who are playing your game are happy with that first delivery, that first piece of content, and then you move over to the B team so that your capital becomes more efficient. You are spending less money to maintain a game that is already successful because of the foundation that the A team laid down. If you're a big studio, it's all about how can we get more money in for less money, or sorry, more money out rather for less money in. And that's especially true if you're a public company. It is literally your obligation to do so. If you're a small team, it's really difficult to build a live service title because you don't have the depth and you don't have the resources to effectively have two different specialized teams building that product. A bunch of really good teams will be able to do it, but it takes superstar engineers, it takes a superstar leadership, and that's not common in smaller studios. So it's absolutely not dead. We see quality live service games come out every single year, but it is more difficult to do so especially as more teams become more and more successful, as they get to the level of public companies, they have to spend less money to get more money out of that game. If you're a small team, you're effectively going up against giants like Call of Duty, who have been doing this for 20 years. It's a well-oiled machine. They don't think twice about that handoff. And if you're a small team, in addition to that challenge, you typically don't have the funding to work with somebody who is a specialist. Maybe that's where products like what John is building in Beamable come into play, but it is more difficult. Live service games will never go anywhere. I don't believe that black hole games mean, or forever games, whatever you want to call them, means you don't play anything else ever. But I think competing against these giants is difficult if you're a small team. And if you're a big team, it's difficult to do things right because you have this capital efficiency problem that you have to make sure that you're maximizing the amount of money that comes out of it if you're a public company. It's more difficult. You're walking uphill in the snow both ways.
John, Gnoc brings up an interesting point here. Is it true? Are we able to make live service games more affordable? And by what order of magnitude here?
Well, there's two aspects to that. There's technology, but also the culture of the studio. So, first of all, on the technology side, that's why we exist. We're not the only ones trying to do this, but Beamable has been working on this stuff for 5 years. We've got around 100 games that have launched on it, and that means 100% of those games are live services games. So, the technology effort to build a live services game, one of the points made is that it is a significant infrastructure undertaking to try to take that out on your own. So one of our competitors, actually, happy to give them a shout out, even MetaPlay did this pretty detailed research study that looked at what it actually costs a studio to invest in, build, and then scale out live services infrastructure to support a game. And it's about $20 million. And that's about right, because that's about how much money we've put into the R&D for Beamable to build the platform. So I totally get it, that it is very capital intensive. So right away, you're not going to be able to build it yourself unless you're a AAA game team. Call of Duty was mentioned. So Call of Duty has a subdivision essentially inside Activision called Demonware, and I believe the head count is about 300 people. And all that they do is the netcode and the live services tech stack that all of the Call of Duty games use. So they do it in a hyper inefficient way because it's not really software that was built for a market, which is what Beamable and some of our competitors have done. But that gives you a sense of how carried away you can get with live services infrastructure in a AAA studio that's scaled out. But point number one of this is you don't have to spend $20 million anymore. You can go to Beamable, download an SDK for free that plugs into Unity or Unreal, and you just start building on it. And I see several people in the room here that are building on Beamable, so you know that you didn't have to spend anything. In fact, it's free to start building on. So it's a big difference from the tech standpoint. The second piece, though, is culture. I think building a live services game studio is largely a culture decision about how you're going to build games. And the point was made a little while ago of like the game team where there's the building team that builds the core game, and then there's the live services game that steps in. That certainly happens in some cases, but in my experience, and I've built and shipped my own live services games, like Star Trek Timelines is still running about 10 years in at this point. That's not actually the way you achieve success. So everybody who's building that game is thinking about live services from day one because it's ingrained in the economy of the game. It's ingrained even in the game systems because when you build game systems for live services, you're constantly thinking about, well, what is the experience going to be like 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years in, that we're going to keep evolving this game system with new content and different flavors of experience so that you can keep kind of re-engaging around core experiences that are repeatable. So I think that game studios who don't have that experience, who started, say, in traditional AAA games and then they've added live services, yeah, they're like almost that comparison that was made to mobile earlier, where they strap on like this whole live services component to their studio that typically is super inefficient, makes a lot of mistakes initially. There's nothing wrong with that in game development. You always make mistakes, and it becomes a learning, but a very expensive learning process for them to add those pieces to the game. I'll conclude it at like one of the biggest parts of the culture of game making that's critical for success just in game making generally and live services in particular is tightening up the feedback loop from people playing your game and learning how they're engaging and playing that game and using that actual data and evidence to make further game improvements. That starts from the earliest versions of alpha through beta, going live, and well after live. So you need the ability to actually quickly iterate, ship updates to your game, change features, but also learn from the audience. And that's at the heart of live services. Like if you're not doing that, you're probably not doing one of the most fundamental aspects of a live services game. And by the way, that tight feedback loop that gets you from evidence to action in your game development process is probably the single most powerful thing you can do to increase the chance of success in a business that's already extremely, extremely hard to succeed in.
Fantastic ending there to that take, John. Pawn again with a fantastic comment as well. He says some big YouTubers I follow absolutely hate live service games, especially because it's what Sony bet on with the PS5, and now they celebrate every cancellation or flop, which is kind of crazy. Also, they've been frustrated by the lack of first-party games because of this Sony live service path. Interesting anecdotal evidence there. There's always going to be a counterculture to just about everything, it seems, especially as globalization continues to happen. Let's go over to Spang and then to Kevin Lambert to wrap this one up. We got about 2 minutes left in this topic.
Yeah. To speak from the player perspective, I'm going to push back a little bit on this idea that live people who play live service games and enjoy these massive experiences are always looking for further experiences. Because I can say from my personal experience, my drug of choice was Destiny for on and off 10 years, and I think that the thing and I always found that as the game that I would go back to and spot in other games around that. But it's when when a live service game does live service well, it feels like you're getting a new game every 6 months to a year. Like I know you all can look back in whatever live service game it was for you that was your game of choice, but it's almost like a timeline of eras and battles and highs and lows, and that experience of being part of something like that, it takes so long to forge that I think it's less about. And I think that there was this misconception that, like, oh, we have a huge amount of people who enjoy live service games, so we can market to all of them. But if the games that they're playing are good, are in a good spot, it's almost impossible to snipe those players from the games because they have that entrenched value. When you're launching live service experiences like this, and this is why I think Helldivers has done really, really well, is because there was a bit of a vacuum in that shooter live service living universe market, when it's not about targeting all the MMO players, but the bored ones who don't have that game of choice. And I don't think that, I think there was this conception for a while that, every game should have like live service components. And that may not have been what people believed, but that's where it seemed everything was going. And I feel like now we've really settled into a nice rhythm of, you have your main game and then you divvy it up amongst other short form experiences. And that's what we were just talking about with Roblox as well. And that, I think, is the real kind of counterweight to like our live service games dead, because Roblox and even what the Farcade is doing provide the ultimate like small experience to fit in between your Destiny or WoW or Warframe sessions that are low commitment, highly experimental. And I think, are live service games dead? No. Is it an absolute death sentence to try and compete with some of the ones that are out there? Absolutely, but it can be done with timing. I mean, every game has its killer.
Great take. And appreciate the Farcade plug there, Spang. Yeah, that's exactly it, dude. Play it on the toilet. Play it while you wait for your Uber. Play it while you wait for your queue in League, whatever it may be. And the culmination of that is you're checking in basically every day, and you actually are going to play quite a bit of minutes throughout the day if it is your go-to to kind of fill time. Kevin Lambert, over to you, and then we're going to move on to final boss.
Listening to all these answers just kind of made me realize that it's worth pointing out that there's a spectrum of what it means to be a live service game. You know, you have at the far right side of the spectrum, you have, hey, every season there's a new theme, there's new content, there's a new battle pass, there's a new UI and event to go through with its own currency, and there's a large team managing the analytics and the content and the pipeline and the data and the purchasing of all of that. On the opposite side of that spectrum, there's a couple dudes in the garage updating the game every 3 months with, you know, a little piece of this, a little piece of that, right? And everything in between that. You know, like at Microsoft, I worked on Solitaire. It was a live service game. There's daily challenge content every month, but that just goes into a can. So there's like only a couple guys really dedicated to the project, you know, in the in-between times. And then when there's a bigger update, like, hey, let's do a new feature, let's add a new mode, then you toss a few more people on it and then you toss them off. So it definitely ebbs and flows across that spectrum as a game development studio. And some of them are just at the far right all of the time. And I have a feeling that when this topic was posed, it was mainly referring to the full spectrum version of that, because the commitments are higher, it's riskier, you know, but, you know, as a lot of people have noted here, you're still a live service game if you're providing live updates to the title and you have people working on it after ship. Right. And it's interesting. So what I'm hearing is there's less contention that live service as a spectrum is dead, but perhaps as you move up that spectrum towards the end, it gets dicier and more risky.
Great stuff. My live service game, Kevin, is a Vinny. I don't know what you would qualify yours as. I appreciate you. We're gonna move on. Final boss. Very first time that we're bringing this one out. I think that we need sort of with Gamified a culmination, and an MVP is that, I think, for the panelists, but I want one for the audience as well. So this time what we're doing is we've asked all of the panelists ahead of time to give us a hot take, but we've got 3 different things for them to pick from on what they're going to give us a hot take on. So the 3 things this time are: Fortnite is back on the App Store after their big fight with Apple. Who knows how long it'll be? This is only in the US because that's only where they've resolved their issues so far. So big news for Fortnite and for the Apple App Store. Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game, just broke its own concurrent player record score despite being 8 years old. I had no idea anybody even played this game anymore, but they just broke their concurrent record. And then Activision Blizzard has finally closed their merger, or at least the people that were blocking it before have declared that they will no longer try to block it. So it's essentially finally done. So I'm asking my panelists again, pick one, give us your hottest take. What is the signal? What can founders and consumers learn from this? No fence sitting. This is the final boss before we pick the MVP. You gotta let it rip. And I'm just gonna assume all of you have one ready. I'm tagging in Jerry. Jerry, kick us off on the right to show them how it's done, big dog.
Yes. What was the first one besides Microsoft?
Fortnite, Battlefront, and the Activision Blizzard thing. Fortnite back on the App Store.
Oh, and what's the bigger deal?
God damn it.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Isn't this the game mode police and he doesn't fucking understand anything that's going on here?
Gnoc, show him how it's done. My CSO. Which one you picking, Gnoc?
Yeah, I'll take I'll take the first one. I think the Fortnite Epic or Fortnite Apple lawsuit marks the end of the tyranny that Apple has been putting on game developers for years. I think that this lawsuit is particularly important because it happened in the United States. We talked about this on Simplified a little while ago, but in previous legal outcomes, every time Apple sort of gets smacked, whether it's with the Lightning cable or their ability to sell licenses to build third-party products for Lightning-supported Apple products. That has always happened in the EU. This lawsuit took place in the United States. A lot of people did not think that this was going to go the way of Epic Games. It's a battle that Epic took at a time where they had absolutely everything to lose. Fortnite was at its absolute peak. It had just been blowing up. Battle took 5+ years to sort of come to a resolution. And it sounds like Epic Games is going to get their way. I hope that this sets the precedent that Apple and to some degree the Google Play Store cannot hold game developers and app developers in general hostage for 30% of every dollar that they make. I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I think the fact that this lawsuit happened in the United States seems to be going the way of Epic is going to mark the end of this era where they are charging 30% on every single dollar earned by developers within the platform. I think Michael Christine a couple of weeks ago pointed out this is not 100% resolved yet. There's the potential that Apple or continues to challenge this, but I think if this goes the way of Epic Games in finality, it will mark the beginning of the end of the 30% tax on everything that happens within those stores.
Great stuff, Gnoc. Way to do it. Jerry, the hand went back up. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm ready. So I was trying to remember what the Battlefront thing was. I was trying to look at my notes. All right, I don't give a fuck about Blizzard closing, really. Whatever. I don't really give a shit about Battlefront either. Yeah, the thing to note here, and I'll maybe take a contrarian take to what Nox said, but I think it's huge, right? Fortnite being back in the App Store, $100 million in this investment. Like, I'm a big Tim Sweeney guy. I'm really happy to see Fortnite back on the App Store. I think what we see as a consensus take is that this is going to fix mobile gaming, right? This is going to solve everybody's problems. And I've been trying to just think about what if it doesn't, right? What if web shops or what if links outside of this doesn't work? And we all, dude, a year and a half ago on this show, we would talk about IDFA and fingerprinting and targeting and privacy changes, how those affected mobile gaming. And I think what mobile gaming was really just like pushed pedal to the metal for a really long time. And as that started to slow, the high growth sector part of gaming, really took a hit and the gaming sector isn't growing the way it used to. Like pre-COVID levels is not happening, right? We normalized. We had a huge boon in, the pandemic time, but since then it's been a little bit slow. And I'm just trying to think about what happens if Apple wins on appeals, or if this doesn't hold up. I mean, I think it's going to be a really scary time in the games industry, especially if you're a mobile builder. If anything doesn't, if the appeals fall through and Apple wins, so I think this is a big deal, but I think it goes big one way or the other, right? If this just doesn't shake out the way everybody's thinking it is, mobile is gonna be hurt badly, right? If this works out the way that Knox said, this is also massive, right? The games industry can grow, 3, 4, 5% a year again, and that's gonna be great. But I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion yet. So I think it's a really interesting thing to watch. I think we should all be watching it super closely because, especially in the crypto sector, because this is one of the big moments for crypto to actually show some use case and stack some wins here.
I like it. Redemption is spelled Gerry. As Kohji, you had the hand up next, brother.
Yeah, Sam, I'm gonna help you out here because these takes are like Kalos's Diet Coke. It's fucking room temperature, man.
Left out all night.
Yeah, only a few people will get that reference. But here's the deal, man. Here's a hot take for you. I don't even know if I agree with it, but this is just what it is. The ruling against Apple isn't gonna do shit. Everyone's like, oh, it's the biggest deal. It's going to change everything. It's not going to change anything. Apple's just going to find a new way to fuck you out of your money. Whether it be like, things that lead out of the App Store, if you want to use like Apple Pay, which everyone wants to do because they're on their cell phones, we're going to upcharge the shit out of you, some sort of crazy processing fee. We're going to deny the shit out of you getting into the App Store to begin with. So it's going to be near impossible. Like, they're just going to find another way to fuck you. And if you don't believe me, even if they went, even when they went to USB-C, like go into the Apple Store and look at the price of the USB-C cables. Look at what they're charging. You know what I mean? And not everyone's gonna get fucked by those pricing by that pricing. But so many people just walk into the Apple Store and are just like, okay, give me all the Apple shit, and I'm out. And the same thing's gonna happen with this gaming stuff. Like if they upcharge you for using Apple Pay as an example. Not everyone's going to use Apple Pay, but most people are going to be like, fuck it, I want to use Apple Pay. And if you don't have it, then I'm out. So I think that, we can all pat ourselves on the back and say this is amazing for Web3. And,
get all excited about the future. I think all it means is that Apple is just discovering new ways to fuck us.
It's almost like they didn't have enough, you know. Let's go over to T-Val. Tony, what's your hot take? Which one on this final boss? We got Fortnite on the App Store, Battlefront 2 breaking records, and Activision Blizzard merger finally closed.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly Battlefront 2, guys. I don't know what we're talking about here. We sat on this call talking about forever games and live services, and here we have an example of not just a Roblox style, like all the kids are playing it game, but a truly entrenched AAA, you know, like you know, shooter that people are coming back to years and years later. I think that's the I don't know if it's the biggest deal. It's the most exciting for me. I love that shit. Yeah, I think Koji's right. Like, at the App Store is going to App Store, and I mean, like, rich people buying other rich people is just like not that compelling. I'm pulling for it.
Dude, I love it. I wasn't sure anybody was going to take that, but it's crazy. I haven't even heard of that game in like 6 years. And all of a sudden, it's breaking records again. Fuck, man. How are you supposed to release a new game anymore? Gnoc, I'm going to you then, Kevin Lambert.
Yeah, Koji didn't like my first take, so I'll give you a hot one that I think Tatted is going to rip me apart for. But Microsoft's, or specifically Xbox purchase of Activision Blizzard King was a matter of life or death. That is my hot take here. I think Game Pass was spiraling. I think they were losing competition in the mobile market. This was an acquisition that absolutely needed to happen for Xbox to even be sustainable as a business model. Spence came in, fucking lit money on fire through the innovation of Game Pass. It's great for gamers, terrible for any fucking game dev who was on it. I've talked to Paul Bettner and a bunch of other people about this, and it seems like it's just been a horrible experience from like a dollars lost perspective. Great for distribution, sure. But this acquisition was absolutely necessary for the overall health of the Xbox ecosystem, and I still do not believe that it means that Xbox is saved. I also will add and double down on this that it's bullshit that this company was allowed to purchase Activision Blizzard because Microsoft in court filings literally explicitly said, we need this acquisition to stay competitive in gaming. Our business will not fucking survive without this acquisition. And this is, I think, what things like antitrust laws are supposed to protect us against. A massive corporation scooping up a massive corporation, taking an entire division of games through Activision Blizzard King offline, bringing it to a proprietary piece of software like Game Pass, and effectively shutting out entire games or parts of games from other players in the ecosystem. I think it's bullshit that it happened. I think Xbox should have been allowed to just fucking die. And this was a matter of life or death. Jury's out on whether or not they survive.
Dude, that was a banger. Round of applause for Gnoc. I 100% agree. I've got some real gripes with Game Pass. Mostly that they keep taking their biggest, best games people would definitely spend $60 for, and they keep putting them into the thing that is making them go bankrupt. Also, secondarily, the thing the thing that you just said about they shouldn't have been able to acquire Activision Blizzard King, the thing they acquired was 3 other things that are so important they had to keep hyphenating the fucking name. And that's not even talking about the other like 50 studios underneath it that thing is absorbed. It's crazy, dude. It is crazy. Let's go over to Kevin Lambert, then to Spang.
Hey, Expedition 33 is still doing good under Game Pass with dollars, is from what I hear. But that take makes sense to me. Hashtag buy Microsoft shares, right, Gnoc? Not financial advice. No, so my hot take is actually going to be on Battlefront 2, and it's funny because it's going to directly contradict the take I had on live service games a few minutes ago, because I think it's awesome that Battlefront 2 is a game that's been out there for what, like 8 years, with 0 updates in the last 5. It's proof that players just want a finished game, right? So you don't have to keep updating it. You don't have to FOMO grind. You don't have to battle pass. You don't have to half-bake the seasonal roadmap. Just a beautiful, content-rich game that stops asking for more stuff, right? And it's sort of like a middle finger to the current industry trends that you have to keep updating with live service games. And I love live service games. They're not going away. They're not dead on arrival. But this is a big contrasting point to that, hey, if a game is just good and done, people will love it.
Great point there, Kevin. I'm curious, real quick, Kevin, if you had to guess how much they spent on just keeping those multiplayer servers up for the past 8 years, what number would you throw out?
Oh, man, I don't think it's a lot. I think the majority, like bandwidth and multiplayer bandwidth and servers that scale based on usage are not that expensive, even at the scale that Battlefront had. Technical people in the audience can call foul if I'm dead wrong on that, but I don't think so from the conversations I've had with my tech team. The big costs are in the human bodies that are making content and the live service pipeline and the analytics and all of that. That's where the big costs come in.
All right, interesting enough. All right, let's go over to Spang. I'm going to ask for your hot take. I'm also going to ask for your MVP vote at the end of it because we are running out of time here. Spang, over to you, bud.
Okay, my hot take is about Battlefront, and and personally, I think it has absolutely nothing to do with the game. And what I think that this is a symbol of is that Star Wars isn't lame anymore, because it has been, and it convinced an entire generation of people, my Gen Z homies, that Star Wars was lame and cringe and neckbeard and not for you. And I think that ever since the Disney acquisition, there have been, it's like, oh, it's this old thing that people like, but it hadn't really entrenched itself within the new generation and become that kind of 50 to 100-year brand. And I think finally, after so many footfalls and, crappy releases and, mismanagement of, the direction of the IP, people are slowly starting to regain confidence in what Star Wars is and starting to enjoy it. Yeah, old heads saying Star Wars has always been good. It hasn't. And it really, really sucked for a little bit. And for a long time, people didn't want to be a part of it because it was old and it wasn't serving the demographic that it claimed to be for. It started as a nerdy thing. And then all of a sudden, it started pushing away the nerds. And I think what the Battlefront resurgence shows is that the gamers and the nerds are starting to like Star Wars again. They're starting to get back into it, and it's starting to reattract them. And I think that, what does a 50-year to 100-year IP look like? Maybe Star Wars might figure it out, and we'll find out. But, excited to announce that Star Wars isn't lame anymore. MVP is going to go to, God, those are some really good ones. John, for just dropping numbers and knowledge nonstop.
Sam, real quick, I feel like a lot of people maybe don't know this, but they announced that they're going to do a new Battlefront game, which is probably responsible for the influx of people into the current Battlefront game.
Didn't one of the shows just end too?
Andor.
Yeah, Andor, but they did say that they wanted to build another Battlefront, so that's probably why people are playing it again.
I thought it wasn't it in response to people playing that the hype around Battlefront 3 started.
I love that this panel they decide to put their hot take on an 8-year-old game. I just really admire you guys.
Tad's been slamming the thumbs down. I got to go to him next. Get his hot take, get his reaction to Will's, and get his MVP.
My hot take is that everybody on this panel is an old man and they don't understand TikTok trends or anything, because all these takes that I heard about Battlefront are the worst takes ever in terms of why it's been successful. Did you not just see that Star Wars Episode 3 just re-released in theaters last month and grossed about $50 million, or it's something like right under $50 million, which was the biggest grossing amount for any re-release of all time, which made all of these TikTok streamers make the coolest Star Wars Jedi versus Sith type of edits that just went viral everywhere on TikTok, which then led to people reposting their old Battlefront edits or the current player base of Battlefront, posting their edits alongside all of these beautiful live action edits of the actual movies, which then generated a ton of hype for old school Star Wars, which then pushed a ton of people who did play Battlefront back in the day when it first launched back into the game, or brought new users into the game because they were so hyped from seeing all these edits on TikTok. That is why we saw a resurgence back into Battlefront. It's because of social media. The power of TikTok, and this wasn't just in the United States, this was across the world. This was like one of the biggest trends imaginable in the month of April. So if you're wondering, whoa, why are people going back to this game? It's because they made super cool content that made people FOMO back into the game. And as everybody FOMO back into the game, that's just what everybody started playing. I love it because I love Battlefront 2. I haven't had time, unfortunately, to re-download it and play it, but I love to see it. But it to me, it has nothing more to do than they just re-released some people, including myself's favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It created a ton of hype for Star Wars, and then combine that with social media virality. You know, you have your winning mixture here of people going back into a game because Battlefront 3 is not out yet. They announced it back in I think 2021 that they were gonna start working on it. Everybody's waiting for it, but combine these edits. Those edits are such a huge driving factor for people to want to come and go play a game just because the edits make it look so freaking cool. So I'm gonna say my hot take is everybody on this panel is old. You guys got to get on TikTok. That's where trends are being made. That's what's forcing so many people to play this or do that, or buy this, etc. And that's we're gonna continue obviously to see that as time goes on. So that is my hot take. I don't really care about Blizzard. There are monopolies everywhere. Look at Amazon, look at Google. They're basically monopolies. They won. I don't remember the third one. The App Store thing, totally agree with what you say. Gnoc, they're gonna figure out a new way to fuck us. So that's a really non-starter for me. They're lukewarm. Today, my MVP, I am going to go with probably Gnoc. Gnoc had some really good points today. Appreciated a lot of what he said. I actually totally agree with your Xbox thing. I think Nintendo's a totally different animal, totally different beast because Nintendo was built on its own platform IP that never really went cross-platform versus Xbox and PlayStation have been cross-pollinated for, over a decade. So I'm going to go with Gnoc. Great job today. Keep it up.
Real quick,
GG.
the hottest take we heard this entire panel was that Revenge of the Sith is your favorite Star Wars film. That's the
Oh,
craziest thing I've ever
by
fucking heard in my
far
life.
my favorite Star
That's
Wars film.
insane.
Literally, I was one of the people who contributed to that 50 million because I made my wife go see it in theaters because I fucking love that movie and I always will. Rise of
That's
the
like
Sith,
going
No,
to see The
baby.
Room in theaters, man.
Rogue One is the best one.
No,
Agreed.
dude.
Agreed. Agreed.
Rogue One fucking sucked. You're both crazy, dude. St. John, over to you, bud.
Yeah, my hot take is actually that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is really what Web3 should be about. And, we talk about IP and community, and this is fucking it. And, the pushback on Kevin's point, or even to add to it, that this wasn't a live service thing. You know what? It's even more than that. It's a live service IP. You guys are all fucking fuck nuts. I'm glad I missed half of it because I fell asleep right before I was going to join because whatever. But like May 4th, I mean, like, holy shit. Like they have a day fucking dedicated, like May the 4th be with you, whatever. And that's what kicked off even like the need to even re-release these in the theaters. The Andor series, holy shit, like Disney launched like whatever. Holy shit, the Andor series was so fucking well made that it ties right into Rogue One. So once like that season, like that finale happens, and you watch Rogue One and you're just blown away how true they were to build up to fucking that you almost feel like you had to rewatch the series. And I fucking rewatched episode 4 after I watched Rogue One. And then in episode 4, you see at the beginning, like about how the spies had gotten the plans or whatever like that. And it just blows up in your face. Fortnite had like the fucking Vader AI fucking voice that they want to shit for. And the last season Fortnite had fucking Darth and all the Star Wars theme shit. And then why not go to like the fucking hardcore shit? And it's like, the real boss, the final boss for Web3 isn't just the open economy, isn't the game, but like, what is the promise of the IP, right? Like, honestly, like this is where we like would want to go. Like this is exactly it. And you only see it with something as big as Star Wars and people saying like, oh, this is for fucking boomers or whatever. No, you fucking losers. Like obviously like this is like I have friends who fucking name their children after Star Wars characters and stuff like this. And also community. I mean, like the fact that this game was even able to repump was because the game was so well made, or was so I had such a dedicated fan base that even though there wasn't growth, like the gameplay servers were still on, and then there were players already still there as a multiplayer fucking game that people could still like fucking have enough liquidity to fucking play. Like if you want to look at what Web3 really could be, and it could be multiple like games that could operate at this level without having the same like cultural depth and like worldwide community support, and that would be possible starting from a game, and to do it in like 1/10 of the time. Like, this is the fucking boss that we should be looking at for what we're really saying what Web3 should be. This should be the fucking vision rather than a fucking simplified fucking game to make it easy so we can have a fucking easy ass win so we can pat ourselves on the back with like good fucking bag holding of like 2-3x for $1 million to wipe our asses with. And my MVP, I don't know if I should really give one, but I think John had some really great takes when I had stepped in, and yeah, he always does.
Great stuff, St. John. I personally can't wait to meet your friend's son or daughter, Jabba the Hutt. It's great to know that they're. I'm sorry, it's such a stupid fucking joke, but it was just dangling there. I couldn't help myself. John, you've already gotten.
I'm sorry. Wait, Sam. I'm so sorry. Before no one's gonna say this. No one's gonna say Sam's fucking crazy for saying Rogue One is the worst Star Wars movie. Like, come on, that's the LVP take right there. That's incredible. Black Hawk Down in Star Wars. It's unarguably the best movie in the series.
Tony, I gotta
Black
agree.
Hawk
I fucking agree, man. That, you know, and Empire Strikes Back, because like those were the two fucking like really hardcore war kind of themes, like really fucking just out of there.
Nah, dude. Here's a real hot take. I just know that I mean this. Solo was underrated.
I agree. I agree.
Bad.
I agree with you too there. I also agree with
I
that.
puked in my mouth a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
when the sentiment is already floor level, even slightly off the floor is fucking underrated.
But
I'm
we
not
can
even
all
gonna.
agree that Revenge of the Sith is the best one. We can move on.
We all agree. We all agree, dude. Clearly, we all agree. John, you've already won 2 MVP votes. Who are you giving yours to?
Rogue One is the second best Star Wars movie after New Hope, and Empire is after that. Solo is garbage. Where the fuck did you pull that one out? I pretty much agree with everything St. John said already. He said it better than I'm going to, so I'll just leave it at that. And he's my MVP pick.
Let's go, dude. Kohji, have you given us an MVP? No, you haven't. Go over to you, brother.
Yo, these guys forget that Mark Hamill could not act.
It's true, dude.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I love those movies. I've seen the original trilogy more times than probably everyone else on this panel combined. And I'm telling you, Mark Hamill, not a good actor. Those movies aren't as good as you think. Anyway, MVP, right? The MVP is whoever just said that Rogue One was the best Star Wars film. That whoever that was, you get my MVP. I don't remember.
Damn it, Kohji. God damn it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Koji.
Koji, I had to
While
ask,
I'm at it,
Hamill
while I'm
or
at
Christian
it,
Hayden, or I don't even.
oh, dude, Hayden Christensen, fuck you guys. He's not bad, dude.
Which actor is better?
Long live Hayden. Hayden,
dude.
Hayden's way better.
I agree. I
Yo,
think Hayden did a
I like
great
the
job
little
as well.
kid. What was Jake Lloyd? Yo,
Yeah, little fat fuck.
Justice for Jake Lloyd.
I just can't wait for the next innovation coming out of Parallel is definitely going to be Kohji finding a way to AI facelift Mark Hamill into Pedro Pascal. He's just going to be Pedro Pascal, the main character in all the Star Wars that have ever been filmed. Kevin Lambert, over to you. Who's your MVP?
Well, I was going to pick Kohji, but then he gave that lukewarm take where he said Apple's just going to come back and get you, which I think everybody already knows. So I'm actually going to go with Lemz, who gave the hottest take of a hot take topic that live service games are dead. So that way you get my nod there, Lemz.
God bless the little is a legend. Lemz, who you got?
Well, I'm glad I set the panel aflame with that take, and even though I didn't 100% agree with it, there was a good element of my thoughts in there, so I'm glad it set everyone off. And Sam, I'm glad you're outnumbered on like Rogue One, because dear God, that was a fucking god awful take. My MVP for today will be Spang, because I think Will's definitely like hit on a few things. I was like, I can vibe with that, and the Destiny addiction, man, you brought me back in time there. So yeah, shout out Will.
Okay, I just real quick Googled, ranked all the Star Wars movies. Okay, Rogue One, fifth, and it's barely above Return of the Jedi.
Who are we asking here?
This is Rotten Tomatoes, man. This is the people.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit.
There's over 10 movies. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
that's
A movie with
middling
no
at best.
Jedi's is
It's a
fit.
dog shit movie. We'll move on.
It's top three.
Tony,
Top three, no doubt.
Tony, who's your MVP?
Most definitely Koji. Thank you for the shout out and agreeing with me that Sam is just utterly wrong and everyone on Rotten Tomatoes
No,
sucks.
he agreed with me, Tony.
I
I like
agree
that you're
with
trying to
everyone
bogart
who
my
likes
take.
Rogue
I
One. You
interrupted the
both get
whole
my
panel
vote.
to
Don't
give
worry.
my take.
Jesus Christ! All I can say is it's a miracle that I stayed awake watching that mid movie in the theaters. Knock, over to you. Who's your MVP?
Yeah, I just put on my Star Wars Crocs. So definitely you for bringing in Star Wars here. MVP, I'm actually also going to give it to Spang, but I do want to mention one final hot take. All of the movies are kind of ass if you compare them to the series.
I
What,
don't.
like the Clone Wars?
The
Like
animated
Clone
series?
Wars, like Andor, like, yeah, absolutely. First 2 seasons of Mando, better than any of the movies.
Totally agree with that. I'm excited for
Jesus
the Darth
Christ.
Maul
Hey,
show because of that.
Sam,
Totally agree.
Sam, just end the space now. This is getting out of hand. Just end it now.
We got one more. Jerry, who's your MVP?
Koji and I might not show up next week. But it's my MVP is Koji because he agreed with Tony and I, and I just want anybody at this point to win it other than Gnoc.
Dude, you guys are giving me a tough situation. We got a three-way tie. I don't know what to do with myself. Koji with 2 votes, Wills with 2 votes, John Radoff with 2 votes. I'm gonna give John and Wills 30 seconds of FaceTime each, and then we'll figure out what to do with Koji in a minute. John, over to you.
He said, "Nah."
20 seconds now.
John was so infuriated about the Rogue One takes that he's left the building. Spang, that means you and Koji are splitting time. Spang, over to you.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I mean, just check your feed. Go on Twitter. Have a scroll. See what we're up to. I mean, things are good over here. I guess with that corporate shill out of the way, this is exactly the kind of energy that I was talking about that has pushed people away from Star Wars for 15 to 20 years. Relax, guys. It's all good.
Shut up,
It's
noob.
all cool. It's the universe
Look
that's
at
cool.
this
Remember
Gen
that.
Z, this Gen Alpha is like, why can't we all love each other, dude? We didn't do that in the '90s, okay?
Hey, bro, well, you're trying to sell me games. That's why we're all here. So I'm just trying to tell you how I'm thinking.
Big Spang, I got a bone to pick with you, dude. I flew all the way to London expecting to see that accent.
No, don't do this, Sam. Don't do this to me, please.
Dude.
I just got over this. You cannot do this to me in front of all of my friends.
Me and this guy bonded so much in Las Vegas, dude. And he just left without even saying goodbye to me. Like, we had a very many hours of deep conversations, and then he just went home.
Dude, big timing you at a conference is actually a rite of passage. I expect everybody on Gamified to at some point big time Jerry. Koji, you got 30 seconds of FaceTime for that co-MVP. Split 3 ways, so don't feel too good about yourself, but take it away.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my time to also give Avalanche a shout out and say if you like Avalanche, use Wayfinder to I don't know, buy your Avalanche shitcoins or whatever people do on Avalanche. I'm not entirely sure because we have yet to build a game for it, but maybe the next one will be Avalanche. Yeah, I don't know. Also, everybody watch movies, whether they be Star Wars or otherwise, and Colony coming soon, fucking all the other shit that we're building coming soon, sooner than we think because we've been mandated to put them out sooner. So get ready, motherfuckers.
Wow.
Can I play? Can I play Colony yet?
Yeah. Can any of us?
Yeah, ask Dub.
God, fuck off.
God damn it, dude. All right.
Can the Star Wars people just say, do you like KOTOR? Do you like Knights of the Old Republic? I just have to know before we wrap.
Does the Pope
hell
shit
yeah.
in the woods? Of course.
My
hell yeah.
people.
Hell yeah. KOTOR 1 and 2 are like unassailable.
I want to give a huge shout out to this panel. You guys give us 2 hours on a weekday, basically every week, which is crazy to me. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys, even the ones that don't win MVP votes. Spang, amazing stuff today. Tony, I love you, dude. Jerry, amazing, making me laugh every week. Lemz, I love you, bud. Congrats again on the move. Excited for you. Gnoc absolutely crushed it today. Kevin Lambert, dude, what else is there to say? I'll see you tomorrow in the trenches of Project O. Tatted Lawyer, dude, you bring spice each and every week. I love that you're willing to take contrarian points of view. Kohji, brother, the show would just never be the same without you. And Sinjin, same goes for you, man. Thanks, even though you fell asleep for the first hour. Glad you made it through. And I know you have a launch going on right now. Best of luck, dude. Thanks for giving us your time, despite being able to take a little nappy poo there. And, look, leaving us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts is like doing a side quest. Doesn't take long, but it helps us unlock way better gear. And if you share the episode with a friend, that's like summoning them to the party. This is a co-op campaign, whether you signed up or not. We're stuck on nightmare mode. Help us beat the next boss. And gamers wanted scale. Studios wanted speed. Avalanche said, hold my hot cocoa. With Subnet spun up in seconds in a $100 million AI fund, Jesus Christ, powering the ascent, Avalanche isn't just hosting the future of gaming, it's engineering it. Gunzilla Games, T1 Esports, Solo Leveling, Maple Story Universe, and apparently Wayfinder, apparently a parallel game in the future. They're riding all this frosty freight trains to the top. So if the chain you're on still melts under pressure, it's time to switch slopes to Avalanche, where frost equals firepower. And gather around builders and believers. It's time to grant yourself a future worth playing. You've heard of skill trees, and Game 7 is growing a contribution for us. Summon isn't just a protocol, it's a passport to permanence. Your actions get anchored, and your influence gets immortalized. Thank you to the official infrastructure of Gamified. And millions play games every day, but only a few build them. The Farcade is flipping the script with no-code tools, on-chain publishing, and built-in social distribution. Your game gets real players, real feedback, and real reach. Plus, check out our Game Jam with Doodles that we just announced. $5,000 in prizes happening over the next week. It's game time, bitches. Thank you again for all of you beautiful people on the panel, all of you amazing commenters. Almost 100 comments again. Web3 Gaming is feeling like we got a little juice in the tank. I appreciate all you guys. Can't wait to run it back next week in about 100 and however many hours that is. See you in 7 days. Same time, same place next week. Love all you. Smooches. Bye-bye.